Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of Fit Tech Tips. Thank you all for joining us. We are so excited to have you here for today's presentation on new teams. My name is Mike Hawkins, and I'm an engagement manager here at Fit, and I'm here to present today's speaker. I'm pleased to introduce the better Mike, Mike Reffert. Mike is also an engagement manager here at Fit, and he provides exemplary technical insight and strategy for several businesses in Northeast Ohio. A fun fact about Mike is that when he isn't burning the midnight oil solving IT problems before they occur, he loves going out in the great blue and going deep sea fishing. To Mike, there's nothing better than hooking a big old tuna. Like always, today's presentation will be recorded, and I will share a link to a brief survey. So be sure to fill that out before you go. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer those along with the way. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mike. Well, he will be providing his tips and tricks for getting the most out of your new teams.
Wow, thanks for that intro, Mike. That was very good and a little unexpected, but you're probably more likely to find me on a golf course than out deep sea fishing. But let's see if we can't reel in a few tips on new teams here. So you should be seeing my desktop now. I'm going to share this in a live demo. And before we get into that, just like real quick, the new teams has been out for a little bit now, so it's not brand new, but a lot of you probably have switched over. And then hopefully today you come out of this with a little bit more confidence navigating your way around Microsoft Teams, specifically the new version. So we're going to jump into that now. And for starters, under the hood, the new version of Teams is up to twice as fast and uses 50% of the memory on your computer. So that's all well and good, great, it works better, we would expect that, but we're gonna look today at some of the more tangible things that you would interact with from a enhancement standpoint and visual changes from you, the user. So looking at Teams here, the first thing that we're gonna look at is some of the visual changes that you may have noticed. Starting over here on the left-hand side, we're all familiar with our quick access icons over here. And one thing that you'll notice from my screen, for those of you familiar with Teams, is my Teams icon is gone. So where did it go? So if I look at my chat, you'll see that I have my chats over here along the left. We're used to that in the chat. But if I continue to scroll down, you'll see that it has combined the Teams channels and teams into the same screen. So that makes it a little bit more efficient, a little less bouncing around between the two menus. But if you're like me and sometimes a little resistant to change, I liked going back and forth and keeping my teams and chat separate. You can change that. So just and out of the settings menu, just to refresh your memory, clicking on the ellipses at the top, and that'll get us to our settings gear icon. So jumping into the settings, navigating over to chats and channels, the very first thing that you see here is viewing your chats, teams, and channels. It's going to be in this combined view. I can click that to separate it, going back to the way it was, and we're just going to skip our feedback with our friends at Microsoft for right now. And then you'll see that my Teams quick access has reappeared. So personal preference, but we'll keep it there for right now, but that's how you switch back and forth between those. Sticking in the chat section right now, there's a few ways with new Teams to help you organize and keep your chats in order. And one of those ways is you can create special section. So let's say I wanted to move this particular chat to a separate or new section. If I click on the ellipses within that chat, I can click new section, and then it'll give me the opportunity to name that. So in this case, I'll rename that VIPs, and that's where I'm going to keep my very important peoples. So now you can see it's created a new section up here. This is to replace the pinned chats from the previous version. So now if I wanted to take another chat, I can either click it and drag it and drop it into that section, or you can click on that ellipses and move it either to a new section or one I've previously created. So that's one way that you can organize that. You can also use some of the filter buttons that are built in. So at the top, have some options up here. If I click on the chats function, you'll see that change something. And that's going to focus only on my chats with individuals, and it's going to remove the meeting chats that have been created from meetings. So that kind of keeps that a little cleaned up. Conversely, I can click on the meeting chats, and now I'm only looking at chats that have come from meetings. And I can unfilter that, and now you'll see I have all of my chats with individuals and meeting chats combined. So again, another option for you to keep things organized however you see fit. Another visual enhancement is navigating back over to the quick access. You'll see that the Files tab is now called OneDrive. And that's done intentionally. They have changed this visually a little bit, and I'm going to pull up a OneDrive here. They did this intentionally. So I have opened my OneDrive in the web application for Fit Trainer, and just kind of pulling these side by side, what you're going to notice is they are exactly the same now. So you can see the documents listed under the For You are the same, and the recent files down here are the exact same. Makes it a lot more cohesive with your OneDrive that we are all familiar with. Next, we're going to look at some of the functionality changes. First, I'm going to go to my chat section here and show you the ability to forward some messages now. So if I wanted to go to my chat here with Matt, and let's say I had an important link right here that I wanted to forward to somebody. Normally I would have had to copy this and paste that into the chat with the other person, or I could have brought them into this chat. You now have the ability, hovering over that message, I can click on the more options, and I have the ability to forward this message. And the cool thing is you can either forward that to a person, so I can forward this to Katie if I wanted to, or you can forward this to a Teams channel. So this is a channel within our team setup. So I can forward this message if it was something I wanted to bring to that Teams channel, you can forward it to that as well. I'm going to look at some additional settings that have changed, allowing you to customize notifications. So we go up to the settings again and click on the gear icon. And I'm going to go over to the notifications. They have expanded some of their notifications here. So if you're like me, for example, if you have a multiple monitor setup, my notifications will pop up in a banner in the bottom right-hand corner, and often I will go click on the calendar to look at, what date is coming up, just to look at a month overview of a calendar, for example, and I'll click on that banner, and it will pull me into that chat when I didn't mean to do that. So if you want, you can move that over to the top right or any other corner of the screen that you wish, just to kind of keep it out of the way, so it gives you that customization. You also have the ability, this is expanded right now, but you have more options to customize your tags. So if you are tagged as everyone in a Teams chat, for example, perhaps you only want to show that in activity and not in the banner. And if you're tagged personally, perhaps you want that to show in both the activity feed and the banner. So it gives you some additional customization as far as how you're notified with tags. Next, we're going to look at some functionality changes with the calendar. So navigating over to the calendar. And this is going to look like what we're all used to seeing here within the Teams calendar, but something that is new. They did change this to function much more similarly to your Microsoft Outlook calendar that we're all used to. So if you're not already there, you can go over here and click this over to the new calendar. And you can see it didn't change it drastically, but what this is going to do is make this behave, again, more like your Outlook calendar. So if you're like me, I'm someone that used to always schedule something out of Outlook instead of doing that through my Teams calendar, just because I like the functionality of it a little better. This will now function clicking on the calendar or double clicking to pop out the invite. This is again going to look a lot more like what we're used to with Outlook. And there's also some different functions as well, as you can look at, like the previous version, you can look at the week, the work week, or the month. It also gives you the ability, perhaps I don't want to look at my work week. I can look at one day, or I can choose 2, 3, 4. So let's say I just want to look at what's going on today and the next couple without everything being too cluttered. It gives you some ability to do that as well. In this case, I'll go back to the work week, and it's also going to give you some functionality as far as looking at shared calendars. So let's grab a calendar over here. Let's grab Jason's, why not? So I didn't want to jump into split view to begin with, but what you'll notice here, here's my calendar right now in Fit Trainer. Here's Jason's when I click on it to see both of our calendars combined. Yikes, that's very cluttered and a mess to me. You now have the ability that you already saw there. I can go up to the top here and I can look at this in a split view, and that's going to separate our calendars side by side, which makes it a lot easier, I think, to just compare the two. So that's a new option as well. I'm going to get rid of that. You also have the ability to add in to this some time zones. So if I go into my calendar settings, there is a section for time zones. This is where you can add additional time zones. So in this case, I put in here Pacific time. We are on the East Coast right now, or Eastern Standard Time. If I wanted to add Pacific time to my calendar, I can even label it and call it West Coast in this case. And then what's cool is if I wanted to schedule something, I'm talking to somebody on the West Coast and they said that they were available at 11 a.m. I have the ability on my calendar to go up in the top left right there, and going to time zones, you can see I can show this West Coast time zone, and that puts it right here alongside the local time that I have. So if somebody tells me that they are 11 a.m. West Coast, it makes it a lot easier to visually see that compared to my current time zone. And I don't have to do mental math, which is great. You also have the ability to share from the new calendar in new teams. So going up to those ellipses at the top and clicking on the share feature, I can share this calendar. And again, can share this internally here with somebody and provide whatever details I want and share it that easy. All right, going to look at a couple features that Copilot integrates with as well for those of you that have it. So in this account that I'm using here to demo, we do have the Microsoft Copilot for 365 license, which integrates with our apps. So if I'm going to go to a chat, in this case, we have an important discussion here with Nick about Nick Cage. And if I wanted to go through all this, and I don't want to go through here and look at what top movies we've been discussing here, which ones are the best, which ones are our favorite. Maybe I want to utilize Copilot to help me with that. You can see over here on the top right, I have the Copilot app shortcut here. And I can run a query right here from this chat. And as you can see, I asked it, what are the most popular movies mentioned in this chat? And instead of me having to go through here and keep track of everything or dig through that, Copilot has gone and compiled that for me. So you can disagree with this if you want, but everyone's got their list of favorite Nick Cage movies, I'm sure. You can also, I'll pull up a separate window just as a visual here. Going back to a meeting that's on your calendar that you had the notes transcribed by Copilot, just opening the meeting and going to the summary here, you can see these are the notes that it took from our meeting. In this case, this was us rehearsing this presentation a couple days ago. And from here, you can run additional queries if you wanted to, but just another look at how you can use Copilot to help you get the most out of it. Next, I have a couple extra tips, tricks, and helpful things that we can share with you, beginning with hiding unused channels. This is something that I found out the hard way and just wanted to alert you guys to it. Going to our teams over here, you can see here's the teams that I have. And something that I noticed was I missed an update that was posted in a Teams channel because it's something that I didn't interact with often. So as a default setting in the new Teams, Teams is going to take it upon itself to, if you're not interacting with a channel often, it's going to hide it in an effort to keep your Teams channels cleaned up. You can change that setting, luckily. So let's go back to our settings here. We'll go back to our chats and channels. And my personal suggestion would turn this one off right here, the suggestions for hiding inactive channels. And you can turn that off. So that way, again, if you didn't interact with the, whatever channel it is for a long time, and then you are used to going in there and seeing that it's bold and there's something new in there, you can avoid the risk of having that hidden and maybe you missing something. Another thing that you can do is pinning messages. So going back to our chat, and we'll use this chat as an example. Let me close that out. So perhaps this table was important to me. We talked about the search feature the last time, Control F and searching through a chat, but you also have the ability to pin something. So if I hit the ellipses hovering over that message, I can pin this particular message and you'll see that it put it right up here with a little pin mark. So now I can scroll down and continue on with that chat. And the great thing about that is if that's something that I know I'm going to want to go back to from time to time, and I don't want to Control F and find that within that chat, keeping it pinned, I can just click that one time. It brings me back to that particular thing that I pinned and makes it a lot easier to get to. Another important thing that I'm sure will save us all a lot of time is you have the ability now to customize your quick reactions. So if I hover over this chat right here, we're all used to seeing these quick reacts that come up. But if I click on more reactions, this is where you would get your additional reactions. If you click on the little smiley face emoji with the pencil, you have the ability to change these if you wish. So if I never use the surprise one, I can go in here and customize this. And maybe I use these often. Now, when I hover over, you can see I have my own customized quick reactions. And I know that's going to save you all a lot of time. Something else that's helpful, you have the ability to record how your name is pronounced. So someone using Teams, if you don't have the ability, if you are not confident how to pronounce somebody's name, you have the ability as the user to record how your name is pronounced. So I'm going to go up to, in this case, again, logged in as a trainer, I'm going to click on the Fit Trainer account at the top to bring up this contact card. And then next to my name up here, you can see this little audio icon. You can edit this and record you pronouncing your name. So someone else using Teams can go hit play.
Fit Trainer.
And you should have heard that audio, but that was me pronouncing Fit Trainer. So kind of a cool thing. I've had people pronounce my name Reifert, so I can go in here and say, my name is Mike Reffert, and people know how to pronounce it. So that's something helpful as well. And then one other thing, there are additional apps that you can add into Teams. One that I find helpful that I would like to bring to your attention is the Meet app. So just searching for that and clicking on Meet, you can see it adds it to my quick access bar, and I would go ahead and right click and pin that right away just to keep it there. This is kind of cool because this is going to take, instead of going through your calendar and looking at past meetings or upcoming meetings, this is going to bring all of your meeting information into one spot. I can scroll down here and it's going to show me recent meetings. You can see if there was a file shared within a meeting, it's going to show it right there. Gives you the ability to jump into a recap. Again, if you had notes taken in there or you had transcribed notes, you can grab them right there. Again, instead of going back through your calendar. It's also going to show your upcoming meetings, which is nice. So perhaps this upcoming meeting in March, maybe I know that I'm double booked and I might be a little bit late. I can go in here ahead of time without navigating to it on the calendar, and I can chat with the participants ahead of time and just let them know, hey, I might be I'll be joining shortly. And that's just kind of a useful app. So feel free to explore some of the apps out there that could help you along the way as well. And that is the last of the items that I had planned on showing you all. So thanks for sitting through that. And Mike, is there any questions that I can jump into from the chat?
It looks like we got them all. It looks like we got them all.
All right, that's great. Well, thanks everyone for spending some time with me. Thanks for having me. And Mike, I'll leave it to you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. I will say that my favorite feature you taught us about today was the custom quick emojis, as well as the time zone additions to the calendar. Those things are going to be extremely helpful. And I've already made those changes in my Teams. I did that during the meeting. So that's sweet. Alrighty, well, thank you for joining today's Mike and Mike edition of Tech Tips, where we learn to navigate the new features in new Teams. If you haven't already, remember to fill out that survey before you go. And if you have any more questions, toss them into the to the survey. All right, until next time, happy chatting.